state of Oregon, home of one of the most famous landmarks in the climbing world, Smith Rock, considered by many to be the birthplace of the sport of climbing. And today the sport returns home. The top climbers in the country are here for the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. Welcome to the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center in Redmond, Oregon. I'm Sean Woodland alongside former United States national team member Megan Martin. The focus of the climbing world for the next 2 days will be here, but in 2020, all eyes will be on Tokyo, and today's event is the second step in a long road that goes towards determining who will represent the United States at those Summer Games.
Exactly, it's so important for any athlete trying to make their Olympic dream come true to do well here, because they need to accrue the points to hopefully make their way onto the overall national team and be able to compete internationally so that they have a shot at Tokyo.
All three climbing disciplines will be featured in Tokyo. There is speed, there is sport, and then there is the one that we will focus on today, and that is bouldering.
Correct. So today, the athletes will have 5 boulder problems. They will have only 4 minutes on each boulder problem. They are in isolation right now, so they've never seen the climbs. They have to figure out on their own. They can't talk to anybody. They can't watch anybody. So they have a big feat ahead of them, and I'm excited to see what they do.
75 men, 53 women, all looking to make their way to the final round. The qualifying round for the men is up next. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Redmond, Oregon, the site of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. The qualifying round getting set to get underway. Sean Woodland alongside former USA national team member Megan Martin. Those are the first 2 problems for the men. They will face 5 problems in this qualifying round, and every skill in their repertoire will be tested in this first round.
Yes, the goal of a good round is to test every aspect of climbing so that we are getting the best well-rounded climber to be successful in the round. If you look at the climbs, you can see there's little placards. Those are our zone holds, the 5 zone, 10 zone, 15, and 25, which would be the top and the most points you can get on each boulder. In order to attain the zone points, you need one hand control for the 5, 10, 15, but to get the top, you must control with 2 hands in order to have that top.
The higher you get, the more points you score. You are penalized points for restarts. And remember, the competitors have yet to see any of these problems. They have 4 minutes to climb those. That's Kai Leitner. He will be up first. And he came out to the floor. He has to sit with his back to the wall once his time starts to be able to turn around. You've been in this situation. When you turn around and you see the problem for the first time, what's the first thing you're really looking at?
The first thing you need to look at is all of the zones. They kind of can be a guide to which way you need to sequence the boulder problem. And you want to make sure, especially with these big volumes that you see, those big shapes, the geometric shapes, sometimes they hide little feet on there. So you want to make sure you see every single hold before you start climbing, because that'll be vital to being successful on the boulder problem.
Kai Leitner is an athlete who really made a name for himself on the youth circuit and is starting to establish himself as a dominant force here in the professional circuit.
Correct. Over the last couple of years, he's been competing in a lot of international adult competitions and doing well in a lot of them. A very good sport climber as well as a very good boulder, so we should see some good climbing from him today. As you can see, this boulder is pretty tricky from the start. It's a very technical, balancy boulder, with the first move actually being a little difficult. If you can't fully see maybe on the screen, but there is black tape, so they have to know that they can't go around the side of the arete that is off limits. And Kai has control of the 5 now, and he's making his way over to the 10. Subtle movements. He's one of our taller competitors, so a lot of times we'll see him climb things differently. It'll be questionable whether or not the judge gives him control of the 10.
Leitner got to 5 on his second attempt. Now moving his way to 10.
Yes, now I would say he has control of the 10. Now this 15 is kind of blind for him. So he has to slowly make his way. Oh, very good movement from Kai.
Leitner will show control at 15.
Yes, which was very smart.
This is just his second attempt. Now up to 25.
And we've got a top.
And he will make us a great opening climb for Kai Leitner. Second attempt gets all the way to the top. So unofficially, that should be 24.9 points for Kai Leitner. We'll be back in Redmond after this. Qualifying round for the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships is underway. Kai Leitner, our first climber, just reached the top of problem number 1 on just his second attempt.
Definitely very good climbing from Kai. It's always really nice to have the first boulder topped because you're feeling already accomplished going into the rest of the round. It can be a little bit stressful sometimes if you don't top the first one. So he set himself up nicely to continue being successful in this round.
This is Colin Willis, 17-year-old out of Granite Bay, California, just outside of Sacramento, getting his first look at problem number 1.
Definitely taking the time to make sure he sees every hold and can make sure he knows exactly what he needs to do, because it is kind of a tricky boulder. It's not extremely obvious what needs to be done. So on these kind of boulder problems, you need to make sure you take the time to really suss it out. Oh.
So Wills falling on his opening attempt.
It's definitely tricky from the start, and I think there's multiple ways that you can actually do that first move. So we'll see if he tries something different or decides to stick with the same beta or information way he was trying the climb.
And you have 4 minutes to work on these problems, but we were talking about this earlier. A lot of that time is just spent figuring it out. So really the time that you have on the problem is less than 4.
That's why you really want to make sure you have time. I mean, he's already at 2 minutes and 30 seconds trying to make his way to the number 10 zone. Really nice.
Wills looks like he's going to make it to 10, and now he will start the trip to 15, which is around that corner.
Yeah, it's a blind move around that corner. He's got the 15. Just trying to figure out how to get around the corner now, kind of stuck in that stem. Sorry. He knows that the next hold is good, but he has to make sure that he doesn't fly off. So needs to figure out something maybe a little different. Since Kai is a little bit taller, I think he was able to get around enough to really jump. So this is a case where maybe his height is helpful, but there's often times where Kai finds himself in positions where he is a little too tall as well. So it all kind of evens out.
Wills now will make his 3rd attempt on problem number 1. Good solid start as he works his way up to the 5-point zone. And now over to 10.
He has already gotten the 15 zone, so he needs to just try and figure out how to get to the hold past the 15 so he can make his way to the finish. Just over a minute left. This kind of boulder, since it's so technical and balancy, he can't really rush it. Trying to figure out how to get over there. Oh, so close.
Wills had his left hand on it, but just could not secure his grip. And now this will be his 4th attempt. You get docked 1/10 of a point for every attempt it takes you to get to the highest point on the wall. We'll go through that as things progress here, and the scoring system will become more clear.
He's definitely going to have to move somewhat quickly to get in the right position to get to the 25. Since he's been on this boulder problem a few times, he should have it more figured out, but it is very delicate, so he needs to still be extremely careful to not mess up.
Definitely moving more quickly than he did on his first couple of attempts, and
really needs to punch it here.
this is the movement that gave him trouble so far, and
There
Wills has it.
He's got to get to that 25 before the clock runs out. He needs 2
Both hands to 25,
That's a top.
and Wills beats the clock and gets to the top of problem number 1.
Really good movement from Colin on the jump there. Almost came off, but was able to save it, making his way to the 25 with 2 hands on the finish and guaranteeing a top for number 1.
Colin Wills using all 4 minutes and gets himself to the top of problem number 1. Kai Leitner, meanwhile, is back on the wall, and he will make his first attempt at problem 2, the second of 5 problems that the climbers will face in this opening qualifying round. 75 men in the opening round. At least 20 will move on to the semifinal round that will take place tomorrow, and then the final 6 will move on to the finals.
This boulder problem is a lot different from the first one we saw. It's more straightforward and just more focused on power. Kai is making this look pretty easy.
2 men are on the wall right now. That is Nathaniel Coleman in the blue shirt on the right side of your screen, taking on problem number 1 as Kai Leitner hops off of problem number 2.
Looks like he's going for the big jump over here. Oof.
And that was the same part where we saw Colin Wills struggle a little bit, so Nathaniel will hop back on and give that another go. 24.9 for Kai Leitner on the first problem, as it took him just 2 attempts to get to the top. Great start for him.
Another thing that's a little different about this problem is because it's so powerful, it's going to zap your energy a bit more. So you see Kai is resting a bit more in order to make sure he has enough power to get himself back up to hopefully latch the 25, because he touched it last time with 1 hand, but he does not have 25 points. He just has 15 so far.
Halfway through this 4-minute window is Nathaniel Coleman on the right side of your screen, working his way up problem number 1. And Kai Leitner back on the wall on problem number 2.
Nathaniel is a 2-time national champion, so he definitely is a very good boulder. I would say it's one of his specialties, and really good at figuring out how to make his way through the boulders. So I would expect him to top this one. Trying something a little different than last time.
Coleman looking to make it to that 15 zone.
Ooh, foot
And a
slip
slip.
there.
And now time is starting to become a factor for the 22-year-old out of Murray, Utah.
When your 4 minutes starts and you fall a couple times and you still have over 2 minutes, you don't feel as stressed, but you can tell he's starting to get a little more stressed as the clock is ticking down, and he knows he needs to top this first boulder.
You have 1 minute
Leitner,
remaining.
meanwhile, as we hit the 1-minute mark, is moving up towards that 15 zone.
This is where he messed up last time. See if he can get there. Oh, just a little short on the jump there.
Can't make it to 25, so Leitner still has time to make another run, but he's going to have to hurry. Nathaniel Coleman, meanwhile, on problem number 1, still trying to make that transition around the corner. We saw Colin Wills basically use every second in order to get to 25, and it could be the same case for Nathaniel Coleman.
Just needs to get to the 25 with 2 hands in control.
And
That's
he
a
will
top.
make it. Nathaniel Coleman topping problem number 1. Kai Leitner still working on problem number 2, and he will not have the same success
10
on that
seconds.
problem as he did on problem number 1, and Leitner is going to call it for problem number 2, and now Colin Wills will follow him on the second of 5 problems.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Wills on problem number 2, and Drew Ruana on the right of your screen in the white tank top. He is up next on problem number 1.
So although these athletes cannot watch anybody, you can kind of tell what's happening from the crowd. So a lot of these men kind of can tell that the first boulder at least has been topped a few times. So there's more pressure as they step up to the boulder, because they know it's possible, and they know if they're going to make the semifinal, they probably need to do it.
We mentioned Smith Rock at the top of the show here in Oregon, and Drew's father took him to Smith Rock when he was really young, 3 years old, and Drew said climbing just clicked, and now here he is.
Yeah, he's a very successful outdoor climber as well, and has done a lot of awesome climbs at Smith Rock, some first ascents. So, and he's making his way through this boulder extremely fluidly. No problem getting into the 10. Just trying to set up his body position perfectly to get to the 15. Looks like he is trying to figure out if he should go static or dynamic. Oh, a little short there. Really good first attempt, though. Colin's still having a look around over here at number 2.
Colin used basically all 4 minutes that he had available to him on the first problem to get to the top. 2.5 minutes remaining for him as he moves to the 10-point zone on problem number 2. And slipping.
So we saw Kai make that move look pretty easy, but that angle is so difficult. So every move, you're just tightening your entire body. There's so much tension in your abs and your legs and your arms. So every move is exhausting.
Back to Drew Ruana on problem number 1. As he has reached the halfway point of his opening 4-minute window.
Just trying to figure out how to get over there a little bit further. There he goes.
Left hand is good, right hand will match. And now he moves up to the 25.
No problem, top for Drew Ruana.
And Drew Ruana on, I believe, his second attempt gets to the top, so he will tie Kai Leitner with a 24.9. Wills can't secure a handhold on problem number 2, and he's back to the bottom.
He made his way to the 15, though, on that attempt, so he's set up a little bit better this time. Or I think he made his way to the 15. Definitely more resting on this second boulder. You can't see the next boulders as the climber, but you can see the angle change as you're standing there. So you know that you're going to be in an overhanging angle for your next climb as well. So you have to figure out how much energy you need to conserve or if you can keep trying. And it's really important to make sure you have enough for all 5 boulder problems.
Less than a minute to go for Colin Wills as he goes to the chalk bag before starting his ascent.
Let's go, Colin. Come on, Colin.
Got to get to the 10.
Come on, Colin. Come on, bud. There you go.
It's a really big jump to 25. I think you need to go with 2. Oh, very smart using a heel hook there.
Wills just can't quite get to 25, but a valiant effort for him. Wills tops number 1, can't get to the top on number 2. Drew Ruana opening up strong, gets to the top of problem 1. More from the qualifying round coming up from Redmond, Oregon. Opening qualifying round for the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships continues here at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center as we watch Kai Leitner, who is now on problem 3 of 5 here in the opening round. He is on the left side of your screen, bottom left.
He made a lot of progress on that one, just trying to figure out how to get to the hold before the 25.
This is Matt Foltz looking to top problem number 1, and he will get there. Just a little more than 2 minutes, so good opening attempt for Matt Foltz.
Seeing someone on problem number 3 for the first time now. We have Kai Leitner. He tried it a second ago, but this is the first look we're getting at this boulder, which is more of a power endurance boulder. It's a bit longer than the other ones we've seen, and the holds are very small, so they're gonna try to test the finger strength of the climbers on this boulder specifically.
Nathaniel Coleman, meanwhile, he's number 102, who got 24.8 on problem number 1, so 3 attempts to get to the top. He's now on problem 2.
He was able to throw for the finish on his first attempt, so let's see if he can figure it out this time. We've yet to see a top on this boulder, and I have faith that Nathaniel can do it.
Come on, y'all.
Kai Leitner's on the left. Now we're inside a minute of this 4-minute window, and Leitner's off. And Coleman almost got to 25. He had his right hand on it, but just could not secure the hold, and he takes a look at the clock, and he's going to decide to call it. Now back to Kai Leitner, who had a 15 on problem number 2.
Kai's first attempt was really good. He was able to get out of the roof. Definitely looked a little more zapped for energy this time because you have these small holds that he's grabbing onto. They're extremely tiny, and then you have to jump to the number 10 zone when your feet cut. It's super, super strenuous. And then you have to campus in, which means not using your feet, bring the other hand in and match. So it just zaps so much energy. And you still have 2 more boulders after that.
And you can tell he's pretty gassed right now,
Yeah,
so good run there on problem 3 for Kai Leitner.
Time. Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
In the middle of your screen in the white top is Drew Ruana, who took 2 attempts to get to the top of problem number 1, scored 24.9 points. This is his 2nd time on the wall here, going through things mentally. And then on the right of your screen, number 105 is Ross Fulkerson, who just came onto the floor. And remember, these athletes are backstage. They're not out here staring at the wall the whole time. When they come out here and they start their 4-minute window, that's the first time that they get to take a look at any of these problems.
Exactly, so you really have to make sure you take that time. And you'll see some people picking up brushes and brushing the holds, because the more climbers you have coming out here, the more chalked up and greasy the holds are going to get. So you really want to make sure they're fresh for your try.
So Ruana gets to the 10-point zone on problem 2, and then he is off. Fulkerson now, 17 years old, from Palo Alto, California.
Really good start for Ross here on this boulder. He's had a really successful season thus far, doing really well at a few of the National Cup Series competitions, putting him in a good place coming into this national competition. Gets the 10, looking pretty comfortable in the stem here.
Now this transition from 10 to 15 is really what you like to call the crux of a problem.
Yeah, getting to the 15 is hard because you can do one of 2 ways. You can try to kind of bypass it first and go to the jump, or you can grab it first, but then you still don't know how to get to the jump. So it's a little precarious.
Fulkerson trying to secure his hold on 15 and then make that transition so he can then get to 25. But this is where most climbers have struggled, and Fulkerson tries to make that jump, but just can't secure his grip.
He had a little foot slip there. It's another thing that the climbers need to remember to brush is the feet, because the shoe rubber gets it more and more greasy.
This is Drew Ruana. He is on problem number 2. Colin Wells is the man in the orange.
Problem number 2 is so powerful. As you can see with the struggle that Drew is having on this boulder.
We are still early here in the qualifying round, but no one has yet to top this problem.
And a lot of our more successful climbers are coming out early. We do have some people coming out a bit later, but a lot of them are early on, so it's a good sign that it's a hard round.
Colin Wills is on problem 3. He's in the orange on the left side of your screen, and Ross Fulkerson is on the right side of your screen. He is on problem number 1.
Kind of the more difficult move, or the crux of the boulder.
So Wills gets to 10 and now trying to get to 15.
So many powerful moves.
It looks like he will get credit for that. Fulkerson, meanwhile, still working on that transition from 10 to 15.
Colin had control of 15. He just fell going to the hold that's unscored after 15.
Come on, Ross. Come on, Ross.
Fulkerson can't get a hold. And he's off the wall again. There goes Drew Ruana in the middle of your screen on problem number 2. He's in the white. And Colin Wills in the orange shirt working on problem number 3 as we come to the closing seconds of this 4-minute window.
Oh, so close. Kind of unfortunate for Drew Ruana too to not get the 15 on problem number 2, since we've seen a few climbers get there. And Drew is one that we are expecting to do very well, so let's see what happens.
4 people now will be on the wall. Kai Leitner on his 4th of 5 problems in this qualifying round.
This probably is going to be the most exciting boulder problem of the round. It starts with a huge triple clutch jump that is super committing and going to be a difficult one to stick. And then following the jump, you have to mantle and get yourself in a very awkward position and very balancy, technical position to get to the 25.
Beautiful Kai.
Definitely made pretty easy by Kai Leitner. That's a area where his height actually helps him, but this could be a little tricky for him.
He topped the first problem, then back-to-back scores of 15 on problems 2 and 3, and now on problem 4.
Come on, Kai.
Trying to get to that
Come on, Kai.
15-point zone and just can't quite make it, but Leitner's one of those climbers, his wingspan here, it should really help him on this problem.
Definitely at the beginning, I don't think getting to the 10 will be difficult for him at all. Nathaniel Coleman high up on number 3. Looks like we're gonna see our first top with 2 hands in a match. Top for Nathaniel Coleman, and I believe that was a flash.
Yeah. Nathaniel Coleman getting to the top of.
Really smooth heel hook there. He's using his heel and nice technical tension moves to get to the 25.
And you mentioned a flash, and that means that a climber got to the top
on his first
attempt.
Yeah.
So a perfect score of 25 for Nathaniel on that problem. He gets a well-deserved break.
Which will serve him well for the next boulder.
So solid start for him. He's top 2 of the 3 problems to start. 2 remaining for him. Back to Kai Leitner now on problem number 4.
Kai was able to stick the double clutch again. He has to figure out how to make his way to the 15 now. He really needs to flip his left hand, but currently he's trying to hold on to the hold, but he needs to flip it and press onto the volume in order to get to the 15 comfortably.
This is one of those areas where we talked about his wingspan, but now when he gets into that tight space, perhaps his height might be hurting him here a little bit.
Exactly, he seems a little bit big for that box. So he's gonna maybe have to do something different in order to be successful on the rest of the boulder.
Alex Fritz is on problem number 1, 25 years old, out of Redmond, Washington.
Come on, Alex.
Really good movement by Alex Fritz. Plenty of time to finish this boulder.
Now he's eyeing that 25-point zone to top this thing. And he
Very
will make
nice.
Nicely done.
Look of relief.
So Fritz gets to the top on his opening problem. So good way for him to start this open qualifying round. And meanwhile, Kai Leitner on problem number 4 with 30 seconds left to score as many points as he possibly can.
Setting up for the double clutch. Does it? Oh!
First time we've seen him slip there.
Yeah.
So fatigue may be
20
setting
seconds. There we go.
There you go, Kai. Come on.
Just needs to try to figure out exactly how he can get into the right body position here.
He's gonna have to make a quick transition. Less than 10 seconds to go for Kai
Even if
Leitner.
he can't get the 25, he just needs the 15. Almost got the press. Oh, it's just not gonna happen.
Leitner is off, so after topping the first problem, he has yet to get to the top of the subsequent 3 problems, and just 1 problem remaining for Kai Leitner in this qualifying round.
Ross Fulkerson taking a few minutes to brush the holds, especially because number 2 is such a powerful boulder. You really need to make sure that you have the best friction.
Drew Ruana on problem 3.
Drew unfortunately did not do very well on problem number 2, so it'd be really good for his score to get a top here, or at least to the 15.
So far, problem 2 has been the biggest challenge that we've seen for these opening climbers here in the qualifying round. At least 20 move on to the semifinals. Those will take place tomorrow, and then 6 move on to the final round.
Drew's taking a moment to rest as we look at problem 3. As you can see, all of these volume holds that are the geometric shapes have tiny little crimpers, as we call them, very tiny small holes that require you to squeeze so hard with your fingers, and it's only coming down to like the middle of your finger or the tip of your finger. So not a lot of room for error.
Ruana at 10, now looking to move to 15.
Nicely done. He's in a good position, set up nicely. to hopefully grab this last hold before 25.
Plenty of time for Ruana, and
2 hands and
right
we'll have
hand
a
is
top.
there, and he will top it.
He
So after a
definitely
disappointing
needed that.
performance on the last problem, Drew Ruana with his second top of this qualifying round.
Drew's a very good sport climber, and I feel like the rest of this boulder after the campus powerful movements are really sport climber-esque movements, so I'm not surprised that he was able to get through that easily.
Clay Gordon is on the right on problem number 1. Oh, and a nasty fall for Gordon. That looked dangerous.
I mean, style points. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
He actually, that was a really nice fall.
Yeah.
I bet that didn't hurt at all, actually. He was able to get to his back.
One of those cases where it looked worse than it was, but
You got to know how to fall. You don't just have to know how to climb. You got to know how to fall here, too.
Clay Gordon, that wingspan number means that his wingspan is 4 inches longer than his total height.
Definitely a plus in climbing to have a positive wingspan. Help you reach holds a little bit better.
1 minute remaining.
Gordon getting the 1 minute warning via the PA announcer, and he is on to problem 10 and now trying to make that transition to the 10 zone and now on to the 15 zone.
Just has to set up for this jump. Just needs to be a little bit higher this time. There he goes. Very good by Clay Gordon.
Clay
Plenty
will
of
make
time.
it. And just like we saw
2
Colin
hands.
Wills do in the late stages of his 4-minute window, Clay Gordon tops problem number 1.
Colin Wills setting up for this double clutch. Oh, very smart. He tried to step his foot up to the start hold to get a little extra push into the dyno.
And now he's running out of time with just 15 seconds remaining in his 4-minute window.
Oh, so close. We're gonna see a lot
10 seconds.
more people struggle on that jump after we saw Kai make it look so easy just because it is so big.
3 seconds to go, and final attempt for Wills won't go. And that means that Kai Leitner in the dark blue tank top towards the upper left part of your screen is now on his 5th and final problem here in the qualifying round. Leitner has yet to top any of the problems except for problem number 1. The farthest he's gotten is the 15-point zone on problems 2 and 3. So looking to finish strong here on this final problem.
And this is probably the most technical boulder problem of the round. Really bad feet and really bad hands. You're mostly focused on your footwork, trying to walk your way across the wall. And then a more dynamic move to get to the 15. All the way on the left side of the screen. And then another somewhat dynamic move to get to the 25.
Leitner right now eyeballing the 5-point zone.
Holds are so small you can't even really see them when he's grabbing them.
Get it right.
Having to stay really close to the wall in order to keep his balance.
And that
This is
10-point zone is just right around the corner there. He has his left hand on it now.
really good start on this boulder for him. This kind of angle is what we call a slab. I think a good way to imagine this is to pretend you're trying to walk up like a slippery, icy hill where you have to try to find your balance,
Nathaniel Coleman right behind you. Come on.
and your footwork is so important.
Get that finish, baby. Focus.
Coleman chalking both of his hands as he's looking to make his way to the 15-point zone. Final problem for him in the qualifying round.
Kai's just trying to figure out how to slowly get over to that other volume foothold, that gray geometric shape you see.
Makes his way around the corner, now over to 15. Nice and smooth for Kai Leitner so far.
Still has to get to the 15. His foot's on it, but he needs his hand to be on it in order to get the points.
Now his way to 25, and Leitner will get there, so a
very
great
nice.
finish for Kai Leitner. Bookend tops as he gets to the top of 1, gets to the top of 5. Meanwhile, that man, Nathaniel Coleman, on problem 4. This was just moments ago.
He was able to figure out this techie mantle section being a little shorter than Kai, I think he probably fit in that box a bit better. But the boulder kind of stays on you the whole time, not even any relief really at the end. This awkward undercling hold that you have to have 2 hands on in order to get the top, which Nathaniel was able to do.
Nathaniel Coleman taking a swig of water as his qualifying round is off to a really good start. Benjamin Hanna is on the right of your screen. He is on problem number 1.
Trying to figure out that tricky jump. Definitely one of those moves that seems to be more learned. We're seeing a lot of people be successful on that move a couple tries in. Just have to figure out the right body position so you can get up and over onto that jug hold.
That is Alex Fritz on the left of your screen in the red top. He is on problem number 2. Fritz got to the top of problem 1 on just his second attempt, scored 24.9 points on problem 1.
Benjamin Hanna trying to get in that setup position for the jump. Taking a moment to chalk. You'll see a lot of climbers wear their chalk bags on the boulder problems, especially on these more technical problems. Because if you have time to chalk, sometimes you want to use it. Oh, it's just gonna fall a little short there.
So that'll do it for Hanna on problem number 1. More from the qualifying round in Redmond, Oregon next. Opening qualifying round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship, continuing with this man, Zach Galla, on the wall for the first time. Problem 1, can't make that transition to 15, but Galla is basically playing with house money here. A couple weeks ago, he won USA Climbing's combined invitational in Salt Lake City, so already on the US national team for the World Cup events.
Correct, so he'll be able to compete internationally, but he does need to still do well to help gain points for the selection process a bit later. But he actually was able to get the 15 there, but he wasn't able to get around the corner.
This is Colin Wills, his 5th and final problem. Eyeball in the top, the 25-point zone, and Wills will get there. So earlier, getting to 15, Wills nearly fell, but was able to keep himself up on that boulder.
It was a little more of a dynamic move for him, being a little bit shorter, and really nice save by him. Nice way to end the round.
Back to Zach Galla on problem 1 as we approach 1 minute remaining in his 4-minute window.
He's one of the smaller climbers, so that reach around is a little bit more aggressive for him, but he's able to stick it this time, make it a little more fluid.
And now up to 25 should not be a problem for Galla, and he will top problem number 1.
Really good start for Zach Galla. Clay Gordon trying to get up this second boulder problem that no one has topped yet. Got a punch to the end. Gonna come up a little short.
Had his right hand on it, but has to get his left hand on as well and then show control at the top. And as you said, Megan, problem number 2 is the one that's been the biggest problem, so to speak, for these climbers. I don't think anyone has gotten to the top of it yet.
No,
the farthest is that 15-point zone. Quite a few climbers have gotten there, but that final transition has just proved to be extremely tough.
They've had hands touching the 25, but no one's able to actually control it. So close, but yet so far still for these climbers.
Time. Climbers, you may begin climbing.
Nathaniel Coleman is on the far left of your screen, and he is eyeballing problem number 5. He's had a solid opening round here. He has topped 2 of the 4 problems that he has faced so far. 3 make it.
Yeah, he has 3 tops already, and I think he'll be able to top this one as well. He might even be able to flash it. The key to being successful on this specific problem seems to just be, you know, taking your time and finding the body positions, but it does seem to be one of the more doable problems of the round.
Coleman and Foltz both flashing problem number 3. That means they got to the top on their first attempt. Coleman in great position here in this qualifying round. Remember, at least 20 athletes move on to the semifinals. That is tomorrow. And then the final 6 move on to the finals.
The first move on this problem is actually really interesting because it is kind of a very dynamic stand-up to very small knob that they have to grab, and then they have to start just kind of shadow walking and like wiggling their way through on these volumes, which are the geometric shapes you see on the screen, in order to get through this boulder. Nathaniel taking his time, which is really necessary. I mean, he's already at 2.5 minutes left, so this is one of the boulder problems where you really need to be efficient, because you have to go so slow on the actual problem. You just don't have a lot of time to lose.
This is exactly what we saw Kai Leitner do when he was on problem 5. Leitner also flashing this problem and scoring a perfect 25 points to close out his qualifying round. So Nathaniel Coleman looking to match him.
I really like this move specifically because you kind of have to forget about your hands so much and really just focus on your feet and how to get over there. Kai actually did that without holding on to the 10, and I think it was putting him in a better position to kind of balance on the volume footholds.
So Coleman halfway through his 4-minute window as he hops off the wall.
Have Ben Hanna on boulder number 2. He wasn't able to top number 1, so he really needs to do well on the rest of these boulders, considering number 1 is one that is getting topped frequently.
Hanna off the wall, and problem 2 has yet to be topped by anybody. And so far, 8 men have climbed it. Now back to Nathaniel Coleman on his 5th and final problem of this opening qualifying round.
Most likely his final attempt as well, with only a little over a minute to go. Gonna have to move slowly and efficiently through this walking section.
With 3 tops already, though, Nathaniel Coleman looks to be in solid position as far as moving on to the semifinals is concerned.
He is definitely in a good position, but every extra zone hold can help, so.
Out of the chalk bag with 43 seconds remaining.
Just has to figure out a way to get his feet, both feet on that gray volume enabled, and so he's able to get over. His hands are shaking as he tries to grab the number 10 hold, which isn't very good, and you don't want to overgrip it either. Using his thumb actually in order to get around, very nicely done.
Staying very tight to the wall, and Coleman is around, and now
just has to get to the 15
zone.
10 seconds left.
Make that, and now
Should
a
have
final
enough
push
time.
for 25.
Let's go.
And Coleman will beat the clock, and he will
Couple
top the
seconds
5th and final problem. So Coleman, a great qualifying round as he tops 4 of the 5 boulders and sets himself up nicely, looking like we will see him for sure in the semifinal round tomorrow.
Zach Galla taking some time to brush number 2. Drew's already up on
Drew Ruana is hopped up on the wall on number 5, trying to match both Kai Leitner and Nathaniel Coleman, both who got to the top of this problem. Drew Ruana has topped 3 of the 4 problems so far. The only one he did not top, problem number 2.
Looking pretty comfortable here.
And again, Ruana did not get to watch either Coleman or Leitner do this. This is the first look that he is getting at this problem, and that's the smoothest that we've seen.
Yeah. Drew definitely is very technical. He has climbed at Smith Rock a lot, which is a very technical area, so he definitely understands body movement very well. Looks like it's gonna get him a top here at number 5.
And he will flash problem 5. Drew Ruana blitzing through that qualifying round. Problem 2, the only one he did not top. So like Nathaniel Coleman, good bet we're seeing Drew Ruana in the semifinal round. Impressive performance from him.
Definitely expect to see him there, so he has to be very happy with his performance today. Zach Galla taking the time to shake out. So important to conserve energy. Make sure you try enough, but not too much. In 4 minutes, it's actually crazy how fast 4 minutes goes. I honestly think it's the most stressful time clock that you can have in climbing is just the 4 minutes. It really makes it difficult.
And then you add in the fact that it's the first time you're getting to see a problem, and that again takes away from the time that you could actually spend on the boulder.
It's generally about like 3.5 minutes really even to start. Zach stepping up to number 2 again, trying to see if he can be the one to figure it out.
Zach Gala tops problem number 1, and now a minute and a half to get to the top of problem 2.
He is a very powerful climber, so this boulder will suit his strengths, but that last move, it just seems to be the real crux of the boulder problem, which is the most difficult part of the boulder problem. Easily to the 15, just needs to figure out a way to get up into this 25. Oh, so close,
Was able to touch it with both hands, but not control, and we've seen that a lot. Climbers getting to that 15-point zone, and then they make the transition, able to at least touch 25, but not control it.
I think this is a really smart move by Zach Gala to take a break, too.
Ross Fulkerson is topping problem number 4. So Fulkerson with his 2nd straight top, and his 2nd in 4 problems so far, 1 problem remaining for him. And that's Timothy Kang on problem number 1.
Getting into that delicate stem here, has the 15, has to figure out how to do this jump without flying off of it. Unfortunately, his foot slipped before he fully set up to jump. Just 25 seconds left.
You saw him take a look at the clock. He realized he had 25 seconds. He got himself back on the wall, but is not going to be able to top it. Impressive performances so far in qualifying. More from Redmond, Oregon when we return. Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center, the site of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship, and we are in the qualifying round for the men. 5 problems that the climbers must face here in the qualifying round. They have 4 minutes in which to get themselves to the top. And problem 2, in the middle of your screen, is the one that has yet to be topped by any climbers. Problem number 2,
We have Nicholas Milburn here trying to figure out this stem section on number 1. He's trying to figure out the most comfortable, oh, taking a different approach here, trying to go face out, which I've yet to see.
The first time we've seen that technique. That's Nicholas Milburn.
He took it back. He decided that was not the way.
Rethought that one.
Definitely a smart move by Nicholas Milburn.
And Nicholas doesn't know that that's the first time anyone's done that, because again, he's been backstage the whole time and has yet to see anybody attack this problem, and this is the first look that he has gotten at it.
Yeah, getting to the 15 now, in a precarious spot still, trying to peek around the corner to set up for the jump to that blue jug. Oh, just needs to reach a little bit more to the left to be more in control. Alex Fritz trying to make his way to the 15 really nicely in this mantle here. Almost to the 15.
This is problem 4 for Alex
Nice
Fritz.
hand flip there. He should be set up well to get into it now. But it doesn't end here.
Looking for his 2nd top in the qualifying round. He got to the top of
1 hand on 25, but he needs 2. That'll be a top for Alex Fritz.
Fritz with his 2nd top so far in the qualifying round, and with time to spare.
Benjamin Hanna trying to get to that 15. Has to secure the heel hook here with his left foot. Nicely done. He should be able to get up into this crimp and then set himself up nicely in order to get to the 25. Oh, he's gonna go for another hand heel right here. A little more secure. 10 seconds left. He does need this top, I believe. He didn't top the first one, so a top here would be very good. Just needs 2 hands on there. And a top for Ben Hanna in the nick of time.
25 points for Hanna, and you were right. He has yet to top any of the problems. Disappointing performance for him on the opening problem, just 15 points in a problem that most athletes have topped. Meanwhile, Matt Foltz on problem 5 moments ago, closing out his qualifying round with a top.
So that's 4 tops for Matt Foltz. So he's up there looking really good to get into that semifinal tomorrow.
And he flashed problems 3 and 4. So solid performance for him on these first 5 problems of the competition.
Another boulder specialist, so I would expect him to do very well in this round, and I'm sure he's very pleased with himself.
You hear that term flash, it just means that a climber got to the top on his first attempt. Sean Bailey on problem number 1. He was 3rd at the Combined Invitational a couple of weeks ago in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Just trying to figure out how to get into this stem position that we've seen people in quite a few times. Very delicate spot, but manageable. Approaching it very calmly and executing well. He has the 15 now, so he just needs to figure out how to peek around this corner and get to the jug without flying off.
Bailey was dealing with some neck issues, he told us, at the Combined Invitational a couple of weeks ago. He looks to work his way around that corner.
Definitely never want to have any kind of injury coming into a big event like this, but he's a seasoned competitor, and if he was uncomfortable competing, I don't think he would be here. But definitely probably more worried about falling, because these are big falls that these men are taking. Oh, and that's a big one right there.
There's one of them from Sean Bailey. Meanwhile, Timothy Kang on problem 2 is off. And Bailey going to make another run at problem number 1, shaking out his right hand. Clay Gordon, meanwhile, on problem 4 with a top.
Just moments ago, he was able to figure out this tricky, techie mantle to get a top on problem number 4, which will definitely be really good for him in this round. He has been a very successful youth competitor, started doing the adult competitions about a year ago, maybe a year and a half. And this year he's really started doing well, so it's exciting to see him have a good round so far.
Back to Sean Bailey and
Ross Fulkerson on number
Timothy
5,
Kang,
figuring
and now
out
Fulkerson on 5.
a way to get to the 15. Plenty of time to top this problem.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Not enough time to start over though, so he definitely needs to execute here.
Seen quite a few athletes reach the top of this final problem.
Again, sitting in the chair with the back to the wall, you know, oh no!
And
comes up a little
Fulkerson
bit
just
short.
slips, and I don't know if he's got enough time to get himself back up there.
But you might as well try. It's your last boulder. You can't lose anything here.
Now a slip from Timothy Kang on problem number 2, as Sean Bailey on the right of your screen is still working on problem 1. Fulkerson is back on the wall.
If Ross can move through this section fast enough, he might be able to get the top in time, but we're getting close to 10 seconds. I don't know if that actually is enough time. We'll have to
10
see.
seconds.
Fulkerson's gonna have to hurry. 7 seconds to go, and
oh wow,
over
that
the 15, but maybe.
Oh, hey, it was exciting.
Good effort from Fulkerson as he will close out, not getting to the top of problem 5. The qualifying round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship continues. We are back here at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center for the qualifying round for the men of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. While we were away, this is Zach Galla on the 5th and final problem, and no problem for Mr. Galla here.
No, and there was a really good save here. His left hand almost fully came off, and he was able to flash the number 5 boulder problem, and that's put him in 2nd place currently. So really nice round from Zach Galla, showcasing all of his strength, and he was our combined invitational winner, so less pressure here for him, but still performing extremely well today.
The momentum carrying over for Zach Galla as he flashes 2 of the 5 problems in this opening qualifying round. Thanks for being with us here today, everybody. In Redmond, Oregon, I'm Sean Woodland alongside former United States national team member Megan Martin, as the men's field continues to work its way through these 5 opening problems.
all around. Excellent work by all these gentlemen.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Daniel looking for redemption on men's 3. Come on, Daniel. Yeah, bud. Very nice. All right, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the North Face USA Finals founding
10
partner.
seconds. Time. Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
All right, once again, North Face, for over 50 years, North Face is aiming to provide the best gear for athletes and ground-based explorers, support the preservation of the outdoors and inspire a global movement of exploration. North Face, never stop exploring. All right, let's see what these boys can do. Come on now. There you go, Joe. We got Sean Robbins who on men's 1. There you go, Sean, baby. Outrageous flip by Sean on men's 1. Sean Bailey with a confident finish on number 4. Come on, Sean.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Sean, you got points in my book with that flip. Maybe no points on the board, but I'll give you a little bit.
Well,
Come on, Sean.
10 seconds.
Give it up for all
begin.
Want to apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are back here at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center. The qualifying round for the men of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship continues. We are well underway. 5 problems facing these men in the qualifying round. They have 4 minutes to get to the top of each one.
And we've seen every boulder problem top so far except for number 2, so definitely questionable whether or not we'll see that happen today. We also have a new leader. Sam McQueen is our current leader.
Just a 1/10 of a point over Matt Fultz. While we were away, in the middle of your screen is Sean Bailey getting to the top of problem number 4.
This mantle is something that he's very good at, as it gave him absolutely no problem. Easily gets to the 15 and then has to subtly get his foot up. But really one of the smoother tops of this climb that I've seen so far. And he really needed it. He wasn't able to top number 1 or number 2, so he really needs to top these last 3 boulders to stay in the running, which he should be in the running as our 3rd place at the Combined Invitational.
5 athletes on the wall. On the far left in the red top is Nicholas Milburn on his 5th and final problem.
Making his way through this delicate slab climb. Not really so necessary to be using your hands. It's all about your body position and your feet. As you see, he's just kind of ever so slightly holding on to that 10 zone.
And Milburn got himself off to a slow start. He didn't top either 1 or 2, and now looking for his 3rd straight top, and he flashed problem 3, getting all the way to the top on his 1st attempt.
Looking for another top right now, just trying to figure out body position. Has plenty of time in case there is a mistake, but I think he's going to end up being able to make a top here.
Milburn
1
eyeing
hand,
25.
2 hands, and that's a top for Nicholas Milburn.
And he will get it. So Nicholas Milburn, 3 straight tops to close out qualifying. Should put him in solid position as far as the semifinals are concerned. At least 20 athletes moving on to the semifinals, and then the top 6 from the semifinals move on to the final round, both of those being contested on Saturday.
It's a little early, but I'm thinking you're gonna need at least 3 tops to even be possibly able to get into the semifinal.
After the second,
Charlie Schreiber on the right side on problem 1. Coming off the wall with just about a minute left to go in his opening 4 minutes.
These more technical
You have 1
climbs
minute remaining.
on the more vertical and slab angles are gonna get more slippery over time, so it's really up to the athlete to take the time to brush before they get on the wall.
5'10", his wingspan though 6'2". That's why the number is +4 there on the wingspan ratio.
Daniel Fong sticking that double clutch, no problem.
This is
A little bit of
problem
time
4.
left, but definitely enough time, I think, to finish this boulder. He just really needs to figure out how to get the mantle. His knee kind of dropped there and pulled him back down to the ground. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see a top from him on this boulder.
Daniel Fong has topped so far 2 of the 3 problems he's been on. Problem 4 doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's basically run out of time.
But he can stay in the running with the 5th
10
problem.
seconds.
Come on, Charlie.
Charlie Schreiber trying to get into this stem. Not going to be enough time for him, unfortunately.
Schreiber struggling with problem number 1.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
We have yet to see anybody top problem 2, and Sean Bailey is now on his 5th and final problem of the opening qualifying round.
And he definitely needs to top this to stay in the running, because he has 2 tops so far, and 3 would definitely be a little bit safer, hoping to make it into the semifinal. Definitely a style of climbing that Sean Bailey is good at, so I expect him to do well on this problem.
There are 75 men here in the qualifying round. At least 20 will move on to the semifinals.
Kind of got himself a little stuck here. His right foot needs to be up a little higher. I think it would make this transition a bit easier.
Bailey, you can really see how small those holds are there at the 5-point zone.
After having struggled on problem 1 and number 2, Sean knows that every attempt is crucial for him. So you can see he's being very cautious as he makes his way across this very technical boulder that focuses so much on his footwork.
Much like Nicholas Milburn did, Sean Bailey also off to a slow start like you mentioned, Megan, but looking for his third straight top to close out qualifying.
That's one thing that you always have to keep in mind as a competitor in a bouldering round. It's not over till it's over, so you can't be hung up on one problem that you didn't quite do, because there might be something that suits you a bit better later on, and you really just have to stay in the game until the final boulder is done. Nicely getting to 15 for Sean Bailey. Just needs to make sure he sets up properly in order to get to the finish hold. The finish hold is not necessarily that good. It's a dual text hold. Only the chalked part has texture. The other part is slippery, and it's also a sloper. So when you're one of the shorter climbers getting there, you have to be cautious. And it was nicely done by Sean Bailey atop with two-hand control there for problem number 5.
Sean Bailey closing out with his third straight top. This is Sean Rabatou on the boulder that we have yet to see get topped here. Problem number 2.
Unfortunately, coming up a little short on that pinch hold. The boulder that we haven't seen topped, but definitely getting to the 15 would be crucial for Sean Rabatou. He wasn't able to top number 1, but he was able to get to 15 on number 1. So another 15 here is necessary. A top would be amazing. Yeah. We just haven't seen it yet. So
and we will see his younger sister in action a little bit later. As the Rabatou's really, the more you learn about them, maybe the first family of climbing. Their fingerprints are all over this competition.
Yes, it's definitely a family affair when it comes to climbing. Solomon Barth making great progress on boulder number 3. Set up nicely, as long as he just keeps it together, using his heels in order to stay nice and close to the wall. One hand on 15, or 25, sorry, just needs 2. It's a top for Solomon Barth.
Solomon Barth with time to spare, so more rest for him.
Give it up one time for all these boys.
Qualifying round rolling on here at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Beautiful Redmond, Oregon, the site of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. We are in the qualifying round for the men. 75 men in the qualifying round. At least 20 will move on to the semifinal round, as John Brock just topped problem number 3.
Too much action.
Daniel Fong in the blue shirt middle of your screen is now on his 5th and final problem, looking for his 3rd top in 5 problems.
Definitely a top he would like to secure, just trying to make his way through this very technical, just a little off balance there. Can't afford to be off balance at all on that section of the problem. Charlie Schreiber getting ready to attempt problem number 2 again.
He is in the green top.
I mean, right from the start, this problem is extremely powerful. Already looking very zapped energy-wise with 2 quick attempts.
And remember, you lose 1/10 of a point for every attempt that it takes you to get to the highest point on the wall.
Every time you have all 4 points of your body off the ground, that counts as an attempt. So even if it's really quick, as long as you left the ground with all your feet and both your hands, that is an attempt. Daniel Fong trying to get through number 5. 40 seconds left. Possible.
And this is really the crux of the problem. We've seen athletes take a lot of time getting around this corner.
Definitely, I would say This is the first crux, the second being getting to 15, but more leeway to save, as we've seen many people save. Only using his thumb, which we've seen a couple other people do. I think it is a good way to do it. There he goes, very nice, 15 seconds. Has to get to the 15.
10 seconds.
Vaughn looking to top his third of the 5
Not even
problems
to the 15
here.
yet. Oh no, doesn't get the 15.
He won't be able to make it. He had to get a hand there. I don't know if they're going to give him credit for that.
No, needs a hand, no credit for 15 on that 5th problem, unfortunately, for Daniel Fong.
That could be costly for him.
Yeah, he's not in the best position right now. He's in 15th currently. I think 3 tops is going to be necessary.
Joe Goodacre is at the bottom right of your screen now, as
Really?
he will be the next man to attempt problem number 1. Next to him is Anthony Lessick, and he will take on problem number 2. And that is the only problem that we have yet to see get topped here so far.
It would be very exciting to see somebody do it.
Lessick will not get there on his first attempt. Sean Rabitou is in the white shirt. He just left you on the left side of your screen. He is on problem number 3.
Joe Goodacre ready to take his first attempt. Really took the time to brush the holds. It's very smart.
He's 17 years old, out of Boulder, Colorado. A very popular living area for many of these athletes.
It's kind of the mecca. Looking good here. Joe Goodacre trying to figure out exactly how to get to the 10 and get into that stem.
There you go. Decisive finish, Sean.
Oh, unfortunate slip there. Joe is pretty tall, so getting his foot up can be a little difficult in that section.
Anthony Lessick just coming off problem 2. Meanwhile, Sean Rabitou topping problem number 3.
Really nice technical work here by Sean Rabitou. Definitely needed a top. Oh, skipping the last hold, love it.
Rabitou
Definitely
aggressive there, and it'll pay off.
I imagine that he would do well on that problem, so it's a good thing he was able to get it done. If he tops 3, I think he could be possibly in still, so.
That's Joe Diaz on problem number 5.
Oh, going an interesting route by trying to drop down with his hand to get through this bouncy section. Oh,
Looks like it's going to pay off.
wow,
for
that
him.
worked really nicely. It's always fun when you see someone do different beta, which is the information or the way in which you climb the boulder problems. Still has to get to the 15. Oop, really
Diaz
nice
hanging
save
on and
by
will make
Joe
the save
Diaz.
there, looking for his 3rd top here in the qualifying round, and he will
got
get
it.
it. So a nice save from Diaz. And you mentioned earlier, Megan, as you've seen this thing play out, you think it's going to take 3 tops to get into the semifinal round. And a great save from Diaz to get that one.
I think it'll take most likely 3 tops and then also doing well on the other 2. It's going to be tricky.
Well, Joe Goodacre on the right of your screen, this was moments ago, gets himself to the top of problem 1.
Nice swing there, able to control it, and then finishes it off with 2 hands here for a great way to start his round. Anthony Lessick going for one more attempt here on number 2. The only boulder problem that we have not seen topped. Luckily, it's pretty short, so he could, well, unfortunately
Left
no,
hand
but
will slip, so problem 2 stays undefeated as we work our way through the 75 men who will be attacking these 5 problems in this qualifying round. At least 20 will move on to the semifinals, and then the finals will feature the top 6 athletes from the semifinals, and both of those rounds contested on Saturday.
All right, next up on problem 1, we got Bryce Viola.
Bryce Viola stepping onto the floor for problem number 1. He is now on the right of your screen, looking up at the problem for the first time. Remember, these athletes have all been backstage. The first look that they get at these boulders is when they take the floor for the first time.
And at this point, if you're back in isolation, it's becoming more and more confusing. You can tell people are doing things, but earlier on in the round, it's easier to decipher who's kind of doing what just by the cheers from the crowd. But now you're getting cheers on multiple climbs at a time, so you really don't know what's going on, but you know you need to be doing things.
Simon Benkert is in the red. He's on problem 2. You have Charlie Schreiber on problem 3. He's in the green shirt. And then on the left of your screen,
John Brock.
Is John Brock.
So he's actually taller than Kai. He's 6'3", so he's actually able to get to the 15. Kai kind of struggled there earlier.
Kai Leitner, the first climber on the floor and one of the taller athletes in the field.
Looks like John, trying to use every inch of his reach to get a top on this boulder. Just has to kind of maneuver himself a little bit more.
This would be huge for Brock.
2 hands on the 25, he has 1. Just needs to bring that other one over.
Brock already 2 tops so
Making
far in
room
qualifying.
there. 2 hands, and that's a top for John Brock.
So 3 of 4 obstacles have been topped by that man, John Brock, with 1 remaining, setting himself up nicely as far as the position in the semifinal round is concerned.
He's very nicely set up, and he actually will need that other top because on problem number 2, he was only able to get to the 5. So the more tops he can get, the better. Because sometimes with the scoring, someone with fewer tops can actually do better if they do better all around.
Bryce Viola on problem 1. Looking to get to that 10-point zone.
Just trying to figure out this tricky stem section. Able to get to the 50. Ooh, no, he lost his balance.
Just couldn't get the grip on 15, so Viola is off the wall, and now time is starting to become a factor for him.
Charlie Schreiber trying to do that powerful campus move by not using his feet. He has to bring his other hand in and match the hold. I've seen some climbers bring their foot down to the lower hold and try and use it so they can save a little energy, but it's kind of awkward, so you have to decide which way you want to do it.
Simon Benkert on the left of your screen trying to become the first man to top problem number 2.
Unfortunately struggling with that powerful pinch move.
Now Viola is off the wall again, and we are inside 45 seconds.
Augie Cohn trying to get to the 15 over here. Could really use a top here. Just needs to commit. Oh, that was beautiful. Not seen it done that way yet.
Nice and
Super
smooth for Cohn.
Just has
And
to
now
get to
eyeing
the
the
25. Very nicely done. 2 hands on the finish.
Augie Cohn closes out his qualifying round with a top.
Bryce Viola back on the wall. Trying to see if he can get back into that stem section.
10 seconds.
Charlie trying to use his feet over there. Oh, unfortunately.
Schreiber's off, and Benkert doesn't look like he's going to give problem 2 another run. He's in the red shirt as Viola falls again.
May begin climbing now.
Now the volunteers here will brush problem 1.
Here we have our route setters over there. After Bryce Viola finishes each climb, we're going to have the route setters go up and actually brush through all of the holds to keep it fair for such a large field.
Joe Goodacre is on problem 2, and Anthony Lessick will move on to problem number 3. That is Lessick in the middle of your screen.
Looking pretty comfortable here. He just needs to get 2 hands. Oh.
Both Lessick and Goodacre off the wall.
Sean Rabitou setting up for that double clutch. Came up a little short to the left.
Final problem for Solomon Barth.
He currently only has 1 top, so he is already in 18th. A top here would be really good for him. Not sure it'll fully help, but we'll have to wait and see. Setting up for that balancy, difficult section of this problem. Solomon's also a very good sport climber. Very technical and powerful climber. Looking pretty comfortable here. Just trying to find the right position and take his time.
Barth.
Really nice toe scum there.
Moving around that corner nicely. Very controlled. Plenty of time as he now moves to the 15-point zone.
Shouldn't be too difficult to set up for this 15. Oh, nice. Able to kind of reach it there. Now he's gonna have to move a little quick. Just quick feet.
Barth is across. And now it's up to 25.
Shouldn't be a problem for him here. He's got a pretty good reach, so he should be able to get there no problem. Just needs two hands. Ooh, slip, but able to get two hands on there nonetheless. So a top for Solomon Barth.
A big performance there for Solomon Barth to close out his qualifying round. And now this is Joe Goodacre on problem 2. And again, this one has yet to be topped by anyone so far.
The high point on this problem is 15, as we have seen a lot of the competitors get to 15. But still, we're seeing some competitors get to just the 5 and sometimes just the 10. So
1 minute remaining.
probably the hardest problem of the round. Well, definitely the hardest problem of the round. No one's done it, but.
Goodacre taking his time. I think he realizes that he's not going to get to the top. Now it's about scoring as many points as he possibly can. He'd love to get to that 15-point zone if he could in these remaining 40 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Every point counts because when it comes to the tops, you don't necessarily have to have all the tops. You can just have a lot of points too. Oh, unfortunately falling off of that pinch hold.
Got to 10. Doesn't look like anything more is going to happen there for Joe Goodacre. So problem 2 stays undefeated. More from qualifying in Redmond, Oregon coming up. Opening day of competition at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. We are in the qualifying round for the men. 75 men in this qualifying round. At least 20 move on to the semifinal round that will be contested tomorrow.
Just saw Simon Benkert with a top on men's number 3. Definitely one of the boulder problems we're seeing topped more frequently, but always a nice feeling to get a top in there.
Bryce Viola in the bottom right of your screen is on problem 2. And again, this is the problem that has yet to get topped. Charlie Schreiber is on problem 4. He's in the green. As Viola continues to size up problem number 2. What is making this so difficult?
I definitely think that further into this round, those bottom holds are getting a little worse in terms of all the chalk on them. So it's up to the athlete to then brush the holds. And then the last move on the boulder problem is the hardest move, but a lot of these men are having difficulty getting to the 15 because the move off of the 10 to the unscored hold, that pinch that is also dual text on one side, is really difficult. So it's just a tough problem.
Viola, with a little more than a minute to go, is back on the wall on problem number 2.
It's definitely worth it to keep trying because the 15 would help his score a lot. So even if he can't top it, getting to the 15.
Grip slipping again.
What's so difficult about when he grabs that pinch is the underside is slippery, so he kind of loses control. He's gonna have to take a break to save up some energy for the next 3 boulder problems that he has.
Charlie Schreiber is the only man left on the wall right now, and he is on problem number 4. 30 seconds to go for him.
Here he goes, sticks the double clutch. We'll need to move quickly to get to the 25, but might be able to get to the 15 in time. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not gonna happen for Charlie Schreiber. He's gonna have to save his energy for problem number 5.
10 seconds.
Schreiber is going to call it on problem number 4, and he will take his 4 minutes of rest and gear up for his final problem of the qualifying round. Sean Rabitou on the left of your screen in the white. He is on his 5th and final problem.
He's taking a look around at problem number 5. Definitely needs to do this boulder problem to stay in the running in a more comfortable position. He's currently sitting in 18th place.
Rabitou pretty solid in his last couple of problems. He topped problem 3 and he got to the top problem 4 in his 4th attempt.
I've noticed that some of the shorter climbers are kind of having a harder time getting around the corner on problem number 1, and Sean is 5'5" as one of the shorter climbers. I think maybe if he just had 30 more seconds, he would have figured out that jump a little better, but I think it just takes a little more body positioning on the first problem. And with that time constraint of only 4 minutes, it just was a little too short. But a boulder like this, I think he'll be fine on, and if he can top it, I think he'll be in a good spot.
We talked about his family. His sister is competing here as well. Both of his parents are former world champion rock climbers, and his mother is a coach.
Yes, Robin Rabitou runs Team ABC, which Sean is wearing the shirt out of Boulder, Colorado. It's a climbing gym for kids. Like, they have a rec side, they have a team side, and its focus is on creating awesome competition climbers, which they're doing a great job of doing. Sean has control of the 10 zone here. This is the crux of the climb. It's the most difficult part. You just have to find the right body position for you. We've seen it done a few different ways, so he just needs to figure out where he can find his best balance point. Looks like he's got it. Just needs to keep it together.
There you go, Sean.
Rabitou through 10 and now on to 15.
Definitely going to need to go a little more dynamic here than some of the other climbers. We've seen a few of the taller climbers actually be able to reach over a little more slowly, but he's a very dynamic climber, so it shouldn't be a problem for him. Setting up. Oh, so nice, really quick, nice save. Super quick feet. Reminds me of
on to 25 now.
Twinkle Toes. Really nice two-hand finish for Sean Rabitou. Great way to finish that round.
And he is done with qualifying, so he closes out with 3 straight tops. One more look at that great save as he moves to 15.
Awesome, his feet move so quick, and then with his hands, really nice save for Sean Rabitou. Awesome climbing done by him here today.
Joe Goodacre and Anthony Lessick are left. Goodacre is the man on the wall who just came off, and Lessick is on the left of your screen. Lessick is on problem number 4. Goodacre is on problem 3.
Joe just tried the campus beta on problem number 3 to come into that match hold where he needed to have 2 hands, which is what we call a match on that hold. It's definitely the more powerful way to try the problem. Doable, but really zaps your energy.
Goodacre back on problem 3, and Lessick attacks problem 4 again, and he is on to the 10-point zone nicely.
Just trying to figure out the mantle here. Oh, fortunate slip there for Anthony Lessick.
And both Lessick and Goodacre going to run out of time. More from the qualifying round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship when we come back. Action continues here at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center as we are in the qualifying round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. I'm Sean Woodland, alongside former United States national team member Megan Martin. 3 men right now on the wall. And that is Charlie Schreiber in the green, who is on his 5th and final problem.
Charlie Schreiber approaching the very difficult crux section of this men's number 5 boulder problem, having to make sure he finds the right balance and body position in order to be successful on this boulder problem.
Schreiber is working his way around the corner and will try to get to that 15-point zone. Want to welcome in Chief Route Setter Brad Weaver here to our broadcast position. And Brad, as you're watching this play out, I know you wanted to make sure that all of these climbers had every tool available. What have you thought so far about how it's worked out?
Yeah, overall, I think we're really excited about how things are turning out. The round's super diverse in terms of style. We're allowing the climbers kind of showcase their strengths, testing them in all different facets of the sport.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about problem number 2. Did you expect anyone to do it?
Yeah, we thought for sure somebody would do it. Right now, we still have opportunity for somebody to come in and do it. It's the power test piece to see how well the climber is climbing today. So yeah, there's opportunity. We'll see what happens later today.
Yeah, there are definitely some climbers who made their way up to 15 a lot easier than others did, but then they were just still thwarted by that finishing move. But yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely a few more names in here that could do well on that boulder problem.
Charlie Schreiber, meanwhile, on the left is still working on problem number 5, and he's running out of time.
And unfortunately for him, he did not get the 15 because he just used his foot, and he's doing it here again. And so, heartbreak there for Charlie Schreiber.
Don't think he got there inside that 4-minute window, so he will close out his round, not topping problem number 5.
Are there any problems that are being topped a little more frequently than you thought they would?
For us, I think the 5th boulder may be getting a few more tops than we anticipated. The moves are pretty slow and bouncy, and the climbers are showing us that they're really good at style, actually. So it's interesting.
I actually found that to be very interesting, too. I did not think it would be topped as much, but clearly everyone's working on their slab climbing.
Absolutely, yeah.
As a route setter, what's the best indication to you that you have come up with a really good test here?
For us, it's looking at the round as a whole, so looking at the number of tops on each boulder, but also seeing who's topping which boulders. For us, if there are different individuals topping different boulder problems, to us it means that we're testing climbers in different styles and ensuring the diversity is present in the round.
I definitely do feel like we're seeing a lot of diversity and not too much variation. Like, I'm not really noticing anything too reachy, which is awesome. I'd say number 1 would be the one that maybe some of the shorter climbers are having a bit more trouble getting around the corner, but then they'll succeed on the later one, so it kind of works out nicely.
Sure, yeah.
This is Anthony Lessig on problem number 5. He got around that corner that we have seen so many athletes sort of take a lot of time with.
It's a very slow
that pretty
section.
quickly.
Very slow section.
And he also has a really good reach here, so he can go a little more static in his movement here.
How does watching what happens here in the qualifying round affect the way that you maybe set up the semifinal round?
For us, this is a really good gauge on how the climbers are climbing. Of course, climbers can have a good day or a bad day, so we don't want to make too many judgments, but overall, it's a good test for us to see if we had the level dialed in for our semifinal round, and it allows us to make some adjustments tonight based on what we see, of course.
Anthony Lessig with a top on the 5th and final problem. Lessig will close out his round with a top on his 5th and final problem of the day. The qualifying round continues when we return to Redmond, Oregon. Back in Redmond, Oregon, where that man, Joe Goodacre, just topped problem number 4.
Second top of the round, so setting him up in a much better position going into the 5th boulder problem, making his way through the mantle, and able to get his 2 hands on 25 to gain a top. Oh my goodness!
Meanwhile, on problem 2, we have our first top of the day, and it comes courtesy of Dylan Barks.
We knew it was possible. We were just talking to Brad Weaver about the fact that maybe somebody would do it. Wow, impressive climbing by Dylan Barks. He's actually hasn't been competing as much recently, but he has in the past been a very successful competitor, so I'm not surprised at all.
Dylan Barks, the first man to get to the top of problem number 2, the boulder that has given fits to a lot of the climbers here today, and he is in the red and black and just gonna give himself some more rest as he gets set for problem number 3, but that's a huge performance for him.
Bryce Viola stepping up to set up for this double clutch on men's number 4.
Just can't secure his left hand as he tried to bring that through.
Seen a lot of men when they jump, they bring their left foot into the start hold to get a little extra push. I haven't seen him try that yet, but I think it would give him a little more boost. It looks like he tried to bring it, but he missed it that time. Just needs a little more oomph to get to that.
Simon Bankert's on the left, he's in the red. He's on his 5th and final problem. And now, I don't know how much scoreboard watching these guys can do, but as the field works its way through here, we talk about getting yourself into the top 20. Now you really have an idea how this thing is starting to shake out. Points are becoming huge here.
Points are so huge here, and Simon Benkert really needs a top. Unfortunately, he was able to get to the top of number 4, but too late, so.
And now slipping off problem 5 with 90 seconds to go.
Definitely still has time, but needs to figure it out. And he so far only has the 10 zone because he only had a foot on 15, and he definitely needs to have a hand there in order to get the points.
Bryce Viola is next to him on problem 4. The two of them.
Seconds ago, Bryce Viola was able to stick that double clutch, but then trying to get up into the mantle happened to fall, but at least he got the 10 zone in his score now.
Bryce back onto the wall and once again just can't secure his grip on that 10-point zone. This is Simon Benkert on problem 5.
Simon Benkert actually is another climber who took a long break from competing. He was a very successful youth competitor and is now back on the competition scene. Just needs to figure out how to get into this 15.
He got through that
very
10-point
nice.
zone very
Needs to
quickly.
use his hand, is choosing not to grab the 15, going for the 25. So he'll get his full points there, but if he had fallen, he'd only have 10. But luckily, a top for Simon Benkert. Great way to end the round.
Simon Benkert will now wait and see if his performance of these first 5 problems was good enough to get him into the semifinals tomorrow. Again, at least 20 athletes moving on.
Time. Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Joe Goodacre will take his turn on problem number 5.
He has 2 tops already, so a third would definitely help his score. Another climber out of Boulder, trains at ABC along with Sean Rabitou, Brooke Rabitou. Really smart to be brushing the feet. He didn't really brush any hands, not really necessary on this one. It's all about your footwork here. Looks like he's ready to get on this boulder problem.
There is still a ton of qualifying to go here for the men. The women are going to start here in a little bit, and we're going to bring that to you. We won't see all 75 men make their runs through this qualifying round, but we will continue to keep you updated on what is going on over there as Goodacre onto the 10-point zone.
Just needs to figure out this tricky section. Slowly approaching. Really nice movement here from Joe Goodacre. Easily getting through that crux. Also another one of the taller climbers. Should be able to somewhat static this move. Very nice. Gets the 15. Setting up to go to his 25. Even though those handholds are good, your feet are kind of weird and the body position is weird, so you don't want to rush it. Looks like he feels a little uncomfortable in trying to get the foot up. Plenty of time though.
Goodacre eyeing that 25-point zone, and
one
he
hand,
will get
two
there
hands.
easily.
Very nice way to end the round.
Goodacre will top problem number 5. Qualifying continues when we come back. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Redmond, Oregon, the site of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. This is where we stand right now in the qualifying round. Your top 10, Sam McQueen and Matt Foltz, separated by just a 1/10 of a point, and then it's tight between Gala and Coleman. At least 20 athletes moving on to the semifinal round that will be contested tomorrow, and the men on your screen all looking pretty good as far as that is concerned, but still quite a few men left here in the qualifying round, and that is Dylan Barks, who has the distinguished honor of being the only man to get to the top of problem number 2, and Bryce Viola is on problem number 5 as he's closing out his qualifying round.
Number 2. The announcer just went to...
Come on, Dylan Barks.
Bryce nicely getting over to enter into this difficult section of this very technical and balancy boulder.
No problem getting to 5, and now he moves to 10.
Yeah, definitely has to trying to figure out a way to get around the 10 to set himself up nicely, body position wise. Very nicely done by Bryce Viola. I feel like there's a moment of exhale every time they get set up to put their left leg over in that stem on the other volume.
Getting after it on next 2. Come on, Andrew.
Now the more dynamic coordination movement to get into the 15. Has the 15.
Over on the left side, we got Bryce
Very
Viola
strong.
looking for the finish on men's 5.
Viola
He's got to
looking
set
to
up for this finish.
possibly get to the top on what I believe is his first attempt.
One hand,
There you go,
2
Bryce.
hands
Very
by
nice.
Bryce Viola.
Great finish for him as he closes out qualifying. Plenty of qualifying to come for the men. We are going to wrap up our coverage of the men's competition. We'll be back with more from the women's competition later on. For complete results, you can go to usaclimbing.org. For Megan Martin, I'm Sean Woodland. So long from Oregon for now. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.